I decided to create a little video here to help you go through the steps and process that's going to take you to go through and evaluate your course based on course learning outcomes and the ABET student outcomes. So you've received this spreadsheet from me, and right now these rows right here are not part of they're just blank. So I'm going to show you how to populate this and how to work from there. A couple things to keep in mind. Please do not change the title, the prerequisites, the credits, the course description, or any of the course learning outcomes. These are all taken from CourseLeaf. They're the official record, which at this point, if we're going to change them, we can do that later, but right now, these are the ones that are correct. These are also the CLO is the course learning outcome and numbered in the correct order, again, all out of CourseLeaf. So please don't be changing any of those kinds of things. So this is what you have that I've given you to start with. So the first thing that I do is I want to go over here to my Canvas classes, and the best way to do this, a particular class that we're looking for, I would go with courses and then scroll down here to where you click on all courses and you'll get this other screen here. What I do is do a Control F, and it gives me this little sequence up here that lets you search anywhere in here. And I found this works the best. So I'm just going to type in SURV, in this case dash 455G. That's the class I want to show you about. And then it shows it. Now you might have to scroll down to find it, but it's going to show you which ones these are. I want the most recent one. We want everything from the fall of 20 to the spring of 21. So if your class follows any one of those, that's ones you want to deal with. So fall of 20, I'm going to click on that guy right there, and then it's going to come up. As soon as I do that, I go to grades, click on grades. These are all things that are going to be pretty familiar to you here. Now, I do this exact sequence that's coming up here in just a second. I do this in when I do my final grade. After I get my final grades all done, then I will export this out. I do this on purpose so that I can get a copy of it and have a record of what grades I've given them and what points they received and which assignments, in case I can't get back into Canvas or something happens. So first thing I want to do here is go to Actions, and I'm going to export. Now, I've previously exported today, but that's all right. I'm going to show you what's going on. So I click Export here. As soon as it goes to export, it's going to go to a File Explorer. As soon as it calculates everything, so I'm going to bruise through here. I'm going to just put it on downloads for right now. And you can name this however you want to. I've got a particular location, but we'll just put it here for right now. And click Save. And then it's going to save this, and it's going to actually produce the CSV file in you notice it's a .csv file in Excel, which is the easiest way to read it. So the thing I like to do is just you start to go along and I want to see the names, then you start hiding stuff back because I don't need a lot of these other items on here. So I'm going to hide this. Like I've got participation, I'm going to use roll call and global. I want that one there. So I'm going to hide this and go through and hide everything. Now that's the first thing to do. And then I go through and take a copy of all these items, everything that I want to have copied. I'm going to take a copy of that and bring it down here, copy this, and go copy, and then bring it down just below this, and then hit this right button and go to Paste Special. And what I want to do is the transpose. It's going to take them from columns to rows. So it's very nice to do. Now I've got all the assignments, everything here, and I'm going to go ahead and delete out what I don't want. Like I don't want the roll call one. And so on. Delete that out. There's a survey that's part of this. It's not part of the class. I'm not going to use it for my evaluation. Midterm final exam, I need that. I don't need the SRI. I use the extra credit for that. So I'm going to go through and delete all those. Pull everything out. Here's some different briefs that I use. Some different quizzes, some case briefs, final exam, midterm. And I, sort these in the order that I want them in. So I'm going to cut this, stick it down here at the bottom so that it looks a little bit more normal, and put those in that order there. So now I've got participation, case briefs, and then quizzes, midterm, and final exam, plus my global enrichment report. So I'm going to combine these into one. So I'm just going to make each one into case and then case briefs. Instead of having all the separate ones, I need to aggregate them anyway. So we'll just do it that way. And then here's the 5 quizzes. Put those all into one. So that's the first step here that I do. So I can just show you what I've actually got here. I've already done this. And so I'm just going to hide this for right now so you can see what's happening. hide this row. Okay, so this is what I've got. So this is my condensed list right here. So I take and I copy this, do it, just select that, do a copy, and I want to drop it in to my spreadsheet that I've got. I put it in right here, and I copied them right into this area here. They don't have to be color-coded or anything like that. Just put them in just like they are. If you want to, you could go through and delete this number. It's the one that Canvas gives you for each assignment. But these are the ones I'm going to use for my assessment. So you can see here I've combined case briefs, all my case briefs together, all my chapter quizzes together, all my participation points all together, because it's going to be easier to evaluate that way. So those are all my assessment tools that I'm using. So that's the first thing I do, is get that all done. Once I've got that sorted and I know which ones they are, I've given you some extra rows, or will give you some extra rows. You're welcome to delete those and just use what you need. Okay, so the first thing to do, that I like to do anyway, is go through and find out what kind of assessment tool or instrument this actually is. And so I've given you down below here, I've given you a list of these different ones. These are not exhaustive, but you're welcome to cut and paste those if you want to. Name them however you want to. But I've done this. So this first one, this Global Enrichment Report, is actually a research reflection report. My participation, I'm calling it Field Lab Assessment Tool. And then Case Briefs is actually a research and reflection report as well. The quizzes are formative quizzes. And then the midterm and final exam are both summative. So this gives me the type of category of sort of, if you will, of assessments. And that comes in handy just as you're evaluating everything. So then the next thing to do is go through and put an X in every area. So I'm looking at, I'm just going to look at Global Enrichment Report. So I look at my course learning outcomes, and you're going to have to become familiar with them. I know you need to read them and look at what those are. And then see what my assessment tool is, which one it collaborates with. So then I put a capital X on each one of the ones that it collaborates with. So I'm just getting this association of the course learning outcomes and my assessment tool itself. So here I'm going to go through and do that same thing for participation, brief, case briefs, and all of them. All of your assessment tools, you'll do that and find out which outcomes are achieved with which assessment tool. So once you've done that, then you want to scroll over a little bit more further to the right here, and I've already done this, but you come along and put an L or an M next to these. Now I've shown you just a little bit here where to get these from. This L, M, and H, and I give you an explanation, written explanation for those, but I want to just briefly hit it. L is low, so this has to do with the level that you're assessing them at. Is that, just the awareness level, which is low, and it's a rated numbers 1 through 3. If it's a medium, it's a competency level of 3 through 4. So that's at a competence level. In other words, awareness is just getting started with it. A competence is more like, well, you can do the work. And then H is a mastery level. So that's going to be at a higher level that I'm assessing this at. So I go through and I look at my student outcomes. Again, you need to become very familiar with what these student outcomes look like, what they mean, and then you can evaluate those. Now you'll notice here, just in this little spreadsheet tip, I'm over here with my student outcomes and I can't even see my assessment tools anymore. So what I do is I like to click right here at the intersection of the first assessment tool and the first course learning outcome, and I'm going to go up here under the View tab and click Freeze, and I'm going to go Freeze Panes. This allows me then to come over here, and as this starts to shift, I can move over and I can still see now my assessment here and then see which one it applies to. So again, the very first thing to do is go through and take a copy. You can just take and cut and paste this into one of these. Take here, do a Control-C, and just drop it in right here where it belongs, and do the same thing with the M and the H. So then just start copying where they belong. So another little tidbit to think about here is this is one of the senior level classes. It's upper division, but it's the higher end of the upper division, 4,000 level course. It's going to have a fair amount of rigor to it. The level of their understanding is much higher, so there's going to be very few L's here. They're going to be, I'm assessing them at a medium to a high level, so at a competent level or a mastery level. If you're in lower division courses, you're going to see mostly L's for awareness, and then some competency. As you get into the 2,000 level, you'll get some more competency, fewer L's, maybe one or two H's, but mostly you're going to be M's in the 2,000 and 3,000 level courses. At the 4,000 level, you should see mostly M's and H's, very few L's. And so that's kind of what you want to keep in mind as you go through and do this. I like it. I want it to be color-coded as well with the L and the M, just as you see it here. Now, your coding may be a slightly different color than this. I'm not sure why I changed those necessarily, but the idea is it's color-coded so you can see the L, M, and H very easily. And this will pay off for you here in a few minutes as you see what to do. Once you've got this done, you come over and you've done this whole section here. A good place to save, again, where you're at. Now what I like to do then is we're going to, not like to, but what you need to do is make a move or a copy here. We're going to roll your mouse over top of the tab, hit the right button, and then click move or copy. And we're going to go move it to the end is fine, doesn't matter. And then click create copy, and you're going to make a copy of this. It's going to show up right there next to it. I like to put it on the right hand side so it goes to the end. And then I'm going to go click on this and go rename, and I'm going to rename this with the same course number, 455G in this case, and then I'm going to say results. So that stays consistent with all the courses as I get results here. So now we've done this, we've got this set up like we need to. Now we're going to go back, and I'm going to save this where I need to here. Now I'm going to go back to my actual data, which is here. Now, I've got, up at the top here, I've got these different elements that are my assessment tools. But I've got 3 participation assignments, and then I've got brief cases. There's 6 or 7 or 8 of them here, and I've got several quizzes. So I've decided just to highlight these with color so I can see them quickly, so I don't make mistakes on which ones I'm doing. Just click it up here, and you can select this to change the colors however you want to. That's helpful to be able to just see what's happening. Then over here, right here, I'm going to go ahead and actually I don't even need this column here. Hide that back. And right here I'm going to type average, and the next one down I'm going to go score or rate, whichever one you want to look at it. I don't care what you call it. And then we're going to go move this to the right so you can see those easily. I'm going to make it bold so you can see what's happening. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to do then is I want to take an average of all the students. In this case here, it looks like everyone did really well, out, and then take that average and divide it by the total. So I get a percentage of the average of the total points. So to do that, I'm going to go equals average, and then parenthesis, and then select all the names of the students. Don't select the total points, and hit the parenthesis. And then I'm going to go divide with the slash, and then select this last one, which is the points possible. So then it gives me a number like this. So that's the percentage average score as a percentage of the total points that are possible on that particular assignment. Now I'm good with that, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this all the way across to all of my assessment tools. These last columns over here are final point, final score, and final grade, which I'm not going to. That doesn't make sense to assess those at this point here. So now the next thing to do is to create this actual score. So for the first one here, global enrichment, this is this first assignment that we do. I'm going to actually, in this case, actually going to take this number here, and I'm going to multiply it by either the 3, the 4, or the 5. So in this case, I'm just going to use 3 and hit the enter key. So that's 2.95. Now let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is actually over here in my actual spreadsheet, my beginning spreadsheet under results. Remember, we talked about, I talked briefly about this being the L, H, or M. Well, there's our numbers. It's 1 through 3 is awareness, so I'm going to use the 3, the top number there, and then competence is a 4, so I'm going to use that top number, or a 5. So all these, whether they're an L, M, or H, it's going to either be multiplied by a 3, by a 4, or by a 5. Now you can see at my data here, my first evaluation shows that on this global enrichment report, I've got an L and then 3 M's. So how this is going to work is I'll go back to my report here, and I've got it 2.95. That's when I multiply it by 3. So that's my low. So now I come back over here, and so 2.95 is right there under my low. I think I did that correctly. Let me see what my data looks like. Yeah, 2.95. Okay, now I'm going to divide it by 4 because I also had some mediums on this. So that's 3.93. So now I'm going to go over here again, pick up this, and on my mediums, I'm going to go 3.93. So I can obviously just take and Control C, Control V, each one of these to get those. So all in that row there. So there's my 4s, which is this, again, which is this competence level, 4. So out of 4, that's what this is. That's what their scores look like. That's their results. And then here on this one, it's a 3. So now I'm going to go through and do the same thing with each one of these. And in this case here, I've got a combination of several. So like in here, this is a combination of these. So this score, it's going to be the same as this, only it's going to read a little different. So I'm going to go, I got to average these first. So I'm going to go equal, and then go average, parenthesis, and then take average these right here, parenthesis, and then multiply that by 4 or 5 or whatever it might be. So in this case, now I have an average of those participation points. To do the same thing with all my quizzes. So I can take and copy this over here. And so I keep them straight. I'm also going to do put color code them so I know what's happening here. Now this range is incorrect, so I can just highlight that range and delete that and go, well, it's going to be these here, from here to there, and hit the enter key. And now that's, again, out of 3, or excuse me, out of 4 in this case. This is out of 4. So I could change this number to 3, 4, or 5 and get different results. Whoops. My bad. Okay. Now I've messed it up. Now I don't want to accept the correction. Okay. So 5. There. Okay. So there's the 1 out of 5. So 4.06 and so on. And do the same thing with my quizzes here. I'm going to average all those quizzes together to make this work out over here. And stick it in the middle, it's down here somewhere. And then change my group of elements. Oh, it's actually pretty close, so I'm just going to go like this and hit the enter key. So there it is out of 5. Now I take and convert that. So 406, so I'm going to take the next one down. So this is under case briefs. So that's the case briefs right here. So 4.06 is my score out of 5. I don't know if I've got those or not. So I'm going to go back over here. Case briefs, I have 1.5 there. So it's 4.06 goes right there. And the same one here, 4.06. Now I'll go back to my points, and I can see here, if I change this from a 5 to a 4, it's 3.25. So all my mediums are 3.25. So here, my M's now are 3.25. Again, under case briefs, that's the row I'm using. So I'm going case briefs, 3.25. So again, I want to do a cut, or copy, to each of the M's here, and so on. And that's how I get those put together. Okay, so I've already done this, and so I'm going to show you what that looks like here, to show you once I've got the results of these. Okay, so once you've got through each one of these, in this case here, these are averages of several assignments that are the same assessment tool. And here I've got my midterm and my final exam, and then the cases and the quizzes. So I've got my rating, all my ratings for a score for each one of those different areas. So now I come down over here again and look at my sheet, and this is what it looks like all finished as far as each one of these ratings go. So now what I want you to do is actually over here type in total results. Can't seem to spell today, and go and make this whole row. Go ahead, just for ease of doing it, you don't have to do this, but it is helpful for me to have you do it. And I'm going to change this to 14, and I'm going to bold it so it all shows up real nice. Okay, so then in this first row here, go over to this first one. I'm going to actually in this cell right here, I'm going to make this an average again. So equals average, and then it's going to be that entire column for that particular student outcome. Hit the parenthesis there, and that's good. So now it shows it this way, and that's fine. I also would like that rounded, so I think I'm going to show it to you rounded. So I'm going to go rounded, around, parenthesis, and go to the end, parenthesis, and then go comma 1. I want it just a 1 decimal place. Whoops, I think I did that wrong. I don't need that other print. And then hit the enter key. Whoops. Okay, there we go. There's parenthesis on the outside.
So that's how what that looks like right there. Just put a 1 and then a parentheses. So anyway, then you got this, and now I'm going to copy that all the way through to all these columns. And you can see here these last 4, I don't have anything in there anyway. So I'm just going to delete that data. Delete the data out of here, delete the data out of there. So that's my finished product here. This is all I need from you, is to get each one of these student ratings here. So what I'm going to do then is take these items here, and I'm just going to transpose them directly, manually I should say, into a spreadsheet that shows each of the classes and the student outcomes, and then how the students fared, their rating, their score in each one of these different, for each class and each of the student outcomes. So now I know that I haven't hit all these student outcomes in this particular course, but there's other courses that do. So over the whole program, a student is able to achieve a high level of mastery or competence level in all of the student outcome areas. And that's what we need to be looking at. So that concludes my, save that and then email that to me just like that. And I will be able to take these results and go from there for your class. Now, obviously, if you have multiple classes, you need to do this with each one of your classes. If you have multiple sections of the same class, now you'll need to take these and just aggregate them all. So if you've got 3 different sections or 4 different sections across 2 semesters, I want all those put all into one so that I can see what the rating looks like over the course of all those different sections and of the same course. So then this number right here, you may have 3 of them, and if you want to put this into one sheet, that's fine. Show one semester or one section. Show each section listed here, and then show a total of those. Then I'll just, or not a total, but an average of all those together, and then I can see the average across all the sections and all the same course. So that's concludes my little video here. Hopefully that is helpful for you.